So it's been a while since I've made a YouTube video, and actually over the last week or two I've been wanting to do this, but you know when you're out of the loop you just can't quite figure out how to get back in there, right? I didn't know what to say to everyone. I've had quite a few messages from some of you, and I'm grateful for that, you know, seeing why I've not been there. It was nothing too dramatic, apart from I nearly took my thumb off with a brad nail gun, but more about that later and why I've not been around and why I won't be around that much until probably September or so. But yeah, today I wanted to play some guitar. It's a Monday morning. I feel very grateful that I can wake up on a Monday and go, yeah, I don't fancy doing all that other hard work that I normally have been doing, and I want to come in here and show you guys something really cool. Now, this is a classic combination, really. Well, I'm not sure it's a classic combination. It's a combination of two classics put together, but I think it's amazing. So today I've got a guitar and amp that I want to show you. It's a new guitar. It's a new amp. It's not a new amp. It's sort of it's a new amp to the channel, really, because I bought this a year and a half ago and I've only just managed to get it working the way I want it. So I'm going to show you all that. I'm going to show you this guitar first because I've got some really exciting plans for this. But first of all, let me show you what it is, and then I might talk about my plans for it. And then this amp, it's been a bit of an uphill battle getting this vintage amp the way I want it. And even then today, it's already caused me some problems that I'm going to get fixed. But right, let's dive in. What is this guitar? So if you watch my channel, you know that I'm a very close friend with Stuart from Sunbears Pickups. And a couple of years ago, when he came round once, he brought a bunch of guitars, and one of them was this beautiful Burst here. Now, I was sort of a little bit sniffy because at the time I was in my real Gibson fanboy sort of days, right? I've owned quite a few Gibsons. I've loved quite a few of them, but also just not loved quite a few of the other ones. It doesn't seem to matter the price point. There's a lot of duds when it comes to Gibson, but it doesn't really matter, right? I'm not here to talk about why Gibson may or may not be doing well. Sometimes you find a great one, sometimes you don't. Sometimes one you love doesn't work for someone else and vice versa. It doesn't really matter. There are great guitars and there are average guitars out there. Mostly there aren't bad guitars anymore. But this one, when I played it, I immediately, like, my back shot up like that, and I just thought, what the hell is this? And it said Tokai on it. Now, I've owned a couple of Tokais when I was younger, and they were really cheap, mass-produced things, and I had no idea what Tokai was other than that. So I asked Stuart, I was like, what is this thing? Like, Stuart has an amazing guitar collection of, you know, fantastic, different, you know, lots of independent makers and stuff. What is this Tokai doing here? And what is this Tokai doing here with this garish, weird inlay at the 12th fret? But why am I like, oh, anyway, that day passed and I didn't think too much about it. But I don't have a 59 type Les Paul at the moment. I've got a few other humbucker guitars, but I haven't currently got a Les Paul 59 type, right? And I've been keeping an eye out. I've played some in the shops. I've thought about ordering one off various boutique makers. I might have one from Giordano in a year or two, like, you know, if I can put aside the money before then. And I said to Stuart, look, I know you have this thing because he was gifted it from a very close friend of his when he was first starting out his pickup making business so that he could try different pickups on it. And I said, how would you feel if I bought that off you and it stayed in the family, so to speak? So if you ever wanted it again, you could have it back off me and etc. Because it's probably got some nostalgia related to it. And he thought about it. He spoke to his other friend, and then I hit him with, but also I want to sort of customize this thing quite a lot. What do you think? And Stuart being Stuart, he's a very curious chap, as in, well, he is quite eccentric, but as in he was curious. What did I mean? So I said, look, I want to get rid of that horrible inlay, if I can. And I want to change this thing from having a reasonably plasticky nitro finish. It is a nitro finish, but it feels a little bit plasticky. I want to take that off and do a finish myself, right? Because I've been making guitars recently and learning how to finish and stuff. And he's like, okay, yeah, all right then. I'm willing to see that disaster unfold. Just don't completely muck it up. So I got the guitar off him. Now, I'll be honest, this guitar cost me £1,000, which is actually what it cost when it was bought new nearly 20 years ago. So I think it's a pretty good deal given what £1,000 then and £1,000 now are. But I had to have this guitar. And why is that? As I said, you can find good Gibsons, great Gibsons. You can find terrible ones. I've had vintage ones, I've had new ones, I've had Murphy Labs and etc. And some sing and some don't. And then it's different in someone else's hands. But when you find a guitar that you feel like it sings for you, it doesn't matter whether it's got a big name or not. But I was also really intrigued because Tokai is one of those ones where people whisper about it. You know, it's a fabled thing. The Japanese make some exquisite instruments and they've made a lot of great Les Paul types. Now, for those of you who are going to write, this isn't a Les Paul, why don't you just call it by its name in the title if I've put its name in the title. If I've said Les Paul in the title, it's because otherwise people won't click, right? That's just the YouTube thing. But yes, it has its own name, but it is based on a Les Paul. It's a single cut. It's just great. It's light, it's resonant. It's everything I would want out of a Murphy Lab Gibson, apart from the finish, I suppose. Or just out of a great Gibson. Doesn't matter if it's a custom shop or whatever it is, but like I so rarely find those where the low end isn't too wallowy and the top end isn't too shrill. This one just has that beautiful Les Paul tone that I'm looking for. You know, some beef in the bottom end, but tightness. And then an ability to sort of really stand out at the top end, but without bursting my eardrums, like with its ridiculous brightness. This just has that, and it's beautiful to play. It's got a lovely neck shape, slightly different. It feels a little bit less big at the back than some 59s I've played, but it's still a decently big neck. And it's just, yeah, I can't say much bad about it, apart from the finish does feel a little bit sort of plasticky when you touch it. But now I've had this for a couple of months, and it's the only guitar I've played in that couple of months, really. I've barely played guitar. I've done like 2 hours of playing. I'm not sure I do want to muck around with it. Okay, so a close-up look, you can see it's a standard burst looking thing. The one main difference from its original would be that the pickups are made by Stuart. They are now my favourite of his current reasonably long list of humbuckers that he makes. These are his 62 PATs, pat numbers. He owns an original set of 62 pat numbers. That is a PAF that when it finally got its patent, I guess it went from patent applied for to patent applied. Patent applied. Pat numbers. That is patent number. Oh, I see. Yes. Okay. So it's an acronym when it's PAF, and when it's pat, it's just shortened of patent. Whatever. They're amazing. They are amazing. I love them. I need to try them out in some other guitars, but it's just the clearest, but also then just the sweetest. And then it can be big, and it can do rock, and it can do blues, and it can do everything. It's just great. It makes this guitar feel like my everything guitar. You know, it's almost got a P90-ness to it. It's that clear. They are that clear. I just love them. Now I'm quite rusty, so I may not show the best of them today, but this guitar with those pickups in are just something that's been when I've had the time and not been injured to play, I've come in here for like 20 minutes and just played this. This is all I want to play. Yeah. Okay, let's move over to this amp for a second. Now, this amp has had a bit of a long journey, right? This is a mid-60s Deluxe Reverb. But I found it in Los Angeles at Norm's Rare Guitars. I was out there with my mate, Davey Bones. If you're on Instagram, check him out. He's got a really cool Instagram. And we were at NAMM with John and the guys at Peach, and we went out for a day. We went to Norm's, we went to a couple of other places. I bought this SG while I was out there, this 61 SG Junior, and I bought this at Norm's, and they shipped it over to me. Now, when I was in the shop, I met Norm and I met Lemmo. He was a really nice guy though. They both were. And I got Lemmo to play this. I think I've put that on the channel in a video before. I have a clip of Lemmo playing this amp in the shop. Now, I've always wanted a Deluxe Reverb, and this one had a pretty good price, okay? It was about $2,500. Then I had to ship it and import it, so it cost me about $3,500. But it had some issues, okay? It had been modified by someone. It had a master volume attached on the back, which I didn't want. And also, it had the original JBL speaker in it, which I know a lot of people love those JBLs, and it sounded great at low volume. It was really like hi-fi, like, you know, didn't sound like a guitar amp to me. It sounded like it was very pristine. But as soon as you cranked the amp above about, I don't know, 4.5, and that JBL broke up, it was horrible. Like, honestly, it didn't sound like a guitar amp to me. So one day, a long time ago, like a year ago, I thought, right, I'll just undo that, take the speaker out. I've got this other speaker I want to put in. Undid it, went to pull it out, and nothing happened. It just was stuck, absolutely stuck. And I have sat on that for nearly a year. It sat on a bench in my kitchen. My wife keeps asking why on earth this amp is down here all the time. And, you know, I've had the dogs licking it and all sorts. And finally, last week, I decided I've got to fix this. On a more serious note, I've had this Deluxe Reverb sitting here for several months now in the kitchen. And I thought, that's why I've got this bottle of acetone here. I've taken it, you know, apart, so to speak, and I'm just very gently, I sprayed some contact cleaner in each screw hole. That didn't do anything. I heated it up for a long time. That didn't do anything. And then I noticed that there was a little bit of, I don't know if it's glue that they used or what they used to put it on or just something that's melted over the years, but you can see little bits of seepage of some sort of glue, like hard gel gluey looking thing coming out, which is why I got that Milwaukee knife out. And I've rubbed a little bit of acetone on there and tried to cut gently, and I could feel a bit more give now than I could before. But boy, this is boring. And the chance of me not damaging the speaker is not great. So, do you know how badly these cabinets are made? They are awful. But yeah, I could probably knock one of these up in 3 hours, not with the covering on it. So less than 3 hours, because the only difficult thing that I would use the CNC for is the angle on the side pieces that comes up to the front. The rest would be in the chop saw or whatever in about 5 minutes and using dominoes. So I might have to do that at some point. I mean, the work is so shoddy, it's quite funny, really. But yeah, what a pain. So I had some help from people in terms of advice, you know, get some sort of like degluing liquid or acetone or something because something is stuck around the front of the baffle on the speaker. Tried that, couldn't get anything done. Got a blade, you know, I'd taken the actual chassis of the amp out and I was like cutting around it, but it was just too awkward in there. So eventually I had to actually take the baffle off and lie it down and then cut around it quite carefully. I was, you know, pretty careful actually. I was quite happy with the job because after about 10 minutes of cutting around with a sort of Stanley blade, yoink, it came off and it was, yeah, there was cork all the way round or whatever's on the front of the speaker. But finally I was able to put this Alessandro speaker in and get to hear it. And I tell you what, it was a completely different amp. This sounds like a Deluxe Reverb should. I didn't want the JBL. I wanted something like this, and this Alessandro speaker seems to fit the bill. Now that I've done that, I want to try other speakers, because that's one thing I've never done on the channel, and people so often ask me, what about this speaker? What about, I've got no idea about speakers, so I will probably try some others. But yeah, I plugged it in today and it sounded glorious, and then I just decided to change the treble setting and it sort of started waving in and out. The volume was going up and down. So I don't know if it's the pot. I had it serviced and the master volume mod was taken out last year, but maybe it still needs a bit of tinkering with. But yeah, there's a rawness to the Deluxe Reverb that it's just fantastic. There's like a looseness to it when you crank it up. It's like, and it's not so loud. You know, I'm so used to playing big amps, you know, the 100-watt 2-rocks or my 59 Bassman or my old Super Reverb, and they are so loud, and yes, that's glorious. But like this, I can put it up to 6 or 7 and get that breakup, and I'm sitting here absolutely not thinking about my ears being damaged, because it really feels a lot less loud. Like, let's say it was 6 decibels quieter at the same volume, for example, maybe then a Super Reverb. That's a lot lower if you know how the decibel scale works. So I love this amp. I never thought of owning a Deluxe Reverb no, I wanted to have one in the collection, but I thought it would just be like a sort of, you know, because I want to have one. I didn't think that it would just be this tone that I absolutely adore. And I haven't even played a Strat through it yet, or a Telly or anything else. So we will get to that in other videos. Really, this is about me coming back to making some YouTube videos, although it's still going to be quiet for the next couple of months, and I'll quickly explain why. And I guess this is really for people who've been watching my channel for a while, if you're interested. First of all, I make guitars, as you know, and I also do other woodworking. It's something I'm really interested in and love doing. And a couple of months ago, I got a pneumatic brad nail gun, and I didn't know how to use it. Luckily, well, I had it back to front. I thought the front was the back and the back was the front. So I'd actually put the nails inside the wrong way round, and that is what saved my thumb. Because I had it all plugged in and I was like, what is going on? This is not working. I don't know what to do. I didn't look at the manual, didn't watch any videos. I'm an idiot. Anyway, I noticed that one end of it has a bit that can move in and out. So I thought I'll put my thumb over that. Maybe that's how something works. Yeah, that's the bit that's the front. I thought it was the back. You put that down on whatever you're going to nail, that depresses in, and then you can press the trigger. But when I pushed that in, it caused the pneumatic bit to work, and it absolutely blasted my thumb. Luckily, the nails, as I said, didn't come out because I didn't press the trigger, but also they were the wrong way around in the gun. It was a massive jolt. It was terrifying. My thumb was in a complete state for like 5 or 6 weeks. I could barely, like, it had pulled back, so the saddle was buggered, but also the thumb itself, it was like, I don't know, it didn't feel right. So I couldn't play guitar for like 5 or 6 weeks. Feels fine now. But I've been doing so much woodworking recently because I'm making guitars, but I'm also, it's my wife's birthday coming up, a big birthday coming up, and I'm surprising her with this cabinet that I've been making, which you'll see a picture of here. There's lots of drawers that I've made for it and all sorts. And then I'm also building a second workshop shed, a small one, but as in, when I say building, I mean from scratch. You know, I'm making it, I'm not buying a module or anything and putting it together. So that's taking up a lot of my time. I've only been doing that for a week, but it's going to take me another like 3 weeks probably. I'm going to make the door, I've done the floor, I'm going to paint it, I'm going to do the roof myself, I'm going to get electrics in there, although I'll get an electrician to, connect it all up. But I need this second workshop to help me because I do a lot of different woodworking stuff and I need to be able to store more. Anyway, once that's all done, I'll be able to put more time back into here, which, you know, I do love doing all this, but sometimes real life just takes over, and that's what's happened in recent times. So yeah, this big birthday of my wife's, it's also my 40th around the same time. So we're having a big party and there's a lot. I've decorated some rooms in the house. I've resprayed cabinets and all sorts over the last 2 months. I've had so much going on. So if you're wondering where I've been and why I've not been here, that's all the reasons. Hoping now one day every 2 weeks I can put some time in here before the autumn, when hopefully life goes back to being, or allowing me to do it once a week. That would be great. But yeah, that's my story for today, really. I don't know what I'm going to do with this Tokai now. I love it as it is. Do I risk taking out that 12th fret inlay to put a normal one in? And do I risk taking off the finish, which, although it feels plasticky, maybe it's got something to do with how it sounds. Who knows? I don't know if the finish has a massive effect on an electric guitar. Really? It does on the way it feels and maybe how you feel about it. And maybe its acoustic sound might be affected slightly, but the electric sound, really? But my takeaway from this is that a great Les Paul with great pickups like these 62 Pats from Sunbear or whatever you love, and a great old Fender like this Deluxe Reverb. I do get the hype about Deluxe Reverbs. It's a perfect size for so much. I can't, you know, playing around with all these amps, it's been great fun. But in reality, for most of us, if you're doing any small gigs or if you're recording at home or anything, a Deluxe Reverb will do everything you want. And so I wish I'd got one at the beginning of the channel, but we'd have had less fun then. So anyway, there's not been a lot of playing in this video because I am rusty as all hell. I'm about to start playing the guitar, you know, several times a week again, just to get myself back in there. But all this woodworking has my forearms absolutely buggered as well. I'm just whinging today, but I feel happy. So anyway, that's where I've been. And in my next video, I want to compare the Deluxe Reverb and the Super Reverb together to see, you know, are they at all similar sounding, or what can you get when you crank one over the other? How loud is the difference between a Super Reverb and a Deluxe Reverb? Well, I can tell you it's quite a lot, but we'll see some numbers. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this one. Just a brief look at something that's got me excited. This Tokai, this Deluxe Reverb that I finally got a good speaker in that I like. And yeah, I think I'm back to building a shed for the rest of today, so yep. Right, if you enjoy this sort of content, it's going to be more about guitars, you know, again, from now on, rather than talking about all of that stuff, but I had to let everyone know where I've been because I've had quite a few questions. Right. Yeah, if you've liked it, please subscribe to the channel. Give this video a thumbs up, all that normal stuff that you just have to do for YouTube. Right, cheers.
Yeah, because we have actually original ones too, but there's actually a few. Just got those shipped in, so these are new. That green one is used.
Oh, and you have that. After Danny Alva, he's got the like that.
The red one?
It's actually, this is a brown one. It's got the
No, I saw that, yeah.
sounds great.
It sounds lovely, yeah.
Very articulate.
Mm-hmm. It's got a different speaker than normal, hasn't it?
Yeah,
It's got a
yeah,
JBL in there.
Yeah, it has that breakup.
Yeah. What volume have you got it?